Ladies and gentlemen, everyone in between, welcome to Talking at 6. I am your host, 1-6, aka Goth Girl Goals, aka I Got You Man, aka Morticia Adams meets Valley Girl, aka the Pin-Up Powerhouse, aka a comedic knockout, aka Pee Wee Herman and Pumps, aka My Heart's on Fire for Elvira. Get it up, boom, bop, boom, bop, ba, bow, bow. Get it up, boom, bop, ba, mow, mow. I hold silver, away, aka gripping the wheel in the macabre mobile, aka Uncle Vinny sipping Henny, aka I put a spell on you. Carry on, aka the walking double entendre, aka Unpleasant Dreams. This episode is brought to you by Women's History Month. Women are dope. Shout out to them. Today's episode, I will be discussing / reviewing the 1988 comedy / horror film Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which stars Cassandra Peterson as the character of Elvira. This film marks the movie debut of the character of Elvira. Before this, she was mostly known for her show, Elvira's Movie Macabre, in which she would basically make jokes about / do commentary for B horror movies. And this show was mainly like local television in LA, but she would a lot of like low level B horror movies, like really bad, just super cheesy horror movies. She would make jokes about and just do different skits in between the intermissions, between the commercial breaks. She would do skits about the movies. And overall, this show was like basically became a cult classic over time. Like had a DVD release. It actually got a revival at one point for like a couple episodes. And it was like one point in like 2014 where Hulu brought it back during Halloween, like during the Halloween season. Then that was pretty dope. But yeah, the movie centers around Elvira, who's gearing up to like trying to start up her own Vegas show. The studio, the TV station she works for gets a new owner. The new owner comes in, dude's like giant jerk, just like dude comes in like trying to grope her and shit. And he's super like unprofessional, just a giant asshole. So she quits because dude's just like, man, fuck you, you know. She's like, I'm not about to deal with this dude. I'm out of here. And in the process of doing that, she finds out that she needs $50,000 in order to do her Vegas show. Like she finds someone who's willing to put on the show for her, but she needs to have $50,000 for them to do it. And then in the process of trying to figure out not why, but where she can get that money, she gets a telegram that tells her that her aunt died or great aunt died in a town in Massachusetts. I forgot the name of the town, man. I'm terrible. But she ends up going to the reading of her aunt's will to find out, what she left her. In the process, she has this daydream about what she left her. It's like Price is Right showcase showdown, where it's just like this sailboat, this Jeep. It's a fucking Wrangler, dude. This Jeep Wrangler, this giant sailboat, this like massive mansion, all these things she's daydreaming about. It's like, oh man, it's like so much money. I think she's gonna be rich. But anyway, in the process, it shows her after like it cuts back to reality. She like driving across country from like California to Massachusetts to get there to the reading of the will. At one point, like she stops at a gas station to fill up her car. Like, super dope car. The Cobmobile is really fucking awesome. We'll get more on that later. But anyway, she's driving. She stops to fill up gas. And like the guy who's working at the station, it's like she tells him like, ah man, smoking to kill you. Drives off and like she like ripped the gas pump out or like didn't put it in all the way or some shit or something. Like no, she didn't put the pump back all the way. So it's like put the nozzle back all the way. So there's just gas all over the ground. It's like whatever. Guy gets up to go to the bathroom, throws a cigarette, hits the trail of gas, runs back to the pump. The whole thing blows up. She's just driving, just blows up behind her. She's driving away. She just doesn't look back. Just keeps going. So stupid. It's hilarious. But anyway, finally pulls up to the town her aunt lived in. Super small, conservative town in Massachusetts. She gets there right as she pulls into town, her car breaks down. But like as she's pulling into town, everyone's just like staring at her. Because if you're not familiar with the character of Elvira, she wears a super tight, like low cut dress with like split like almost all the way up the leg. Like she's super revealing character, super revealing outfit. But it's not. I don't know. It's not terrible. I mean, who am I to say it's terrible now? But anyway, basically, she's not like, she's pretty revealing. And it's a super conservative town. So, like, she comes in town and instantly everyone notices her. Like, everyone's staring at her and freaking out and trying to figure out why she's there and who she is, and like once she wants, basically just like wants her to be gone as soon as possible. But unfortunately, her car breaks down. Bunch of teenagers like offering to help her push it. You know, they all like super into to help her push her car to the nearest mechanic shop. And long story short, I'm not gonna go over the whole movie. Basically, the town has this council of almost like what's the word I'm looking for here? It's shit bit moral council. There it is. The town moral council, which like upholds all these standards of town and reinforces basically their rules of like, oh, this is what you can and can't do, and basically it's almost like, I guess like it'd be basically essentially if a town was ran by like the church almost, like their religious views are town law basically. And it's like, yeah, so like the movie theater closes. Heck, and the movie theater can only show G-rated films, and like the guy who owns is like basically going out of business. Like he's losing his mind. He's like, yeah, I pretty much have no business. I'm going broke because no one ever comes in because I can only show G-rated films and no one wants to watch them. And yet, like the irony of the town is like, oh, you can only show G-rated films. Yet no one goes to go watch the movies. So like, how is this helping anyone? It's like you're protecting your morals, holding up your morals, keeping time to your morals, but at the same time driving this guy out of business. Like, but yeah, you know, it's a lot of stuff like that. But anyway, she goes to the reading of the will, whatever, and her uncle's there, like her great uncle's there, her great aunt's brother, her great uncle, and like her aunt's housekeeper and like chauffeur, basically her driver, her butler, and housekeeper there, and like she left them like 10,000 each or something. No, she left them 5,000 each. So she left them $10,000 total. And then she left her brother nothing. She left Elvira the house, a recipe book, and her dog. And eventually finds out, like, spoiler, slight spoiler, not major spoilers. Like, ain't a spoiler, whatever. You don't want spoilers, turn this episode off now. Seriously, don't turn the episode off. I need you to keep listening, man. I gotta get these views up, man. Come on, man. I'm begging, man. Just listen to the episode, man. The movie's from 1988. Come on, man. You can't be that spoiled. Anyway, it can't be that much of a spoiler, man. Come on, I'm begging you, man. I'm begging you. It's all I got, man. They're gonna break my knees. Anyway. Anyway, it turns out she comes from a family of basically witches and warlocks. Like her uncle's like super evil, trying to be the most powerful, like trying to take over the world with evil and dark magic. And that recipe book turns out to be an actual spell book that her mom wrote. And it's like her mom was super powerful, but her uncle somehow managed to kill her. They don't really go into that at all in detail. But basically, Elvira got dumped off at an orphanage when she was a baby to protect her. And she had this magical ring she was a kid, which honestly is one of the funniest parts. Not the magical ring, not the magic, not the witch thing. It cuts to a flashback of baby Elvira in a basket at an orphanage. And it's just her with the same beehive, like giant beehive hair, but it's all on baby. And also she's like, oh, she has the same makeup on. It's just the baby with a bunch of makeup and this giant beehive. It's so adorable, dude. It's so funny, though. Because it just makes no sense whatsoever. Just like, who put makeup on a baby? It's hilarious. But yeah, you know, basically she finds out she's powerful. She's like finds out about the magic and the whole darkness thing. But like before that, like she gets the dog and it's a poodle. And eventually she finds out the dog can like shapeshift into anything. It was her aunt's familiar, which basically is like what follows witches around and can transform into any shape. So like witches are like, oh, they have cats, but the cat can actually be anything. Which why would you be a cat if you could have anything? So you tell me you a cat, but that cat could be a gorilla. Gorillas would be awesome. Imagine if witches just had gorillas and that was just the lore. It's like nobody would have fucked with them. It's like, oh, we're gonna burn witches. You're gonna burn who at the stake? Nothing. We're gonna burn nothing. Anyway, I'm getting horribly off topic way too early into this. But yeah, honestly, man. So yeah, a lot of movie's funny. Like it's really funny. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of like Pee-wee's Playhouse. Not Pee-wee's Playhouse. Yeah, Pee-wee's Playhouse / Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Like with the comedy, because like it's 80s, man. You know, it's like super like meta, like super kind of campy, like kind of meta fourth wall break comedy. But it's like Elvira is just nonstop jokes, like just constant one-liners and like double entendre, and like she'll make it like it's a lot of time like a lot of what she does reminds me of Pee Wee Herman, because she'll like make a joke and then look at the camera, or she'll make a joke while looking at the camera, or staring directly at the camera, like breaking the fourth wall. But she's like the only character that does it, and no one else breaks the fourth wall, no one else acknowledges it. No one else like acknowledges that she's breaking the fourth wall. Half the time they don't even acknowledge her joke. Like she'll make a joke to someone, she'll make a one-liner, or like she'll make a double entendre to someone, and they just don't say anything about it. They don't acknowledge it. They just like kind of pause for a second, and they go right back to what they were saying. And like it's pretty funny. Like it's awesome. But if she gets in it, dude, it's like, see, it's not necessarily like, I don't know, I guess like over the top, like trying too hard, but it's like, it's funny because of like the quickness, the like, oh man, like the setups are like just really funny. It's like kind of simple setup, like yeah, like look at the camera and like almost like look at the camera, wink at the camera, and it's like, and it goes right back in. It doesn't like dwell on it. There's no like laugh track or anything. It's like, well, yeah, it's not a sitcom, it's a movie. But anyway, like it could have like this could have gone like way worse than it did. Like there's a lot of the critics were kind of like kind of meh about it. It's like kind of middle ground. Like a lot of reviews are kind of like middle ground. Like on IMDb, it has like a 5.6 or 6.5 or something like that. Then like Rotten Tomatoes is like a 40%. Like it's not really highly rated, but it's also not like completely trashed either. Like it's not like this movie's terrible, never watch it. But also there's not like people like, oh man, this movie is absolutely amazing, like, the greatest thing ever. You have to watch it. I personally think it's pretty funny. Like it's a decent watch. I recommend it. Like you know, looking for something to do one day, just slow day, looking for something to do. Definitely check it out. I mean, you might be in you in quarantine right now. You're running out of stuff to do. You done watched every movie you got. Go ahead and watch it. If you're just looking for something new, go ahead and watch it. Give it a chance. Go check it out. Like it's pretty funny. It'll definitely get a laugh or two out of you. Like honestly, it made me laugh. But yeah, back to the Pee Wee Herman comparison. It's ironic that like, well, not even ironic. It's like, oh man, it's like I went into the movie knowing this, but like after, like if you don't know it, like after watching it, you'll definitely see this compared. You'll definitely see it. Basically, Cassandra Peterson was in improv group called the Groundlings, which is like this super famous big deal. Like improv group had a bunch of legendary people in it. But one of the people that was in it while she was in it was actually Paul Rubens, who's the guy who plays Pee Wee Herman. Which is like going into it knowing like, oh yeah, you know Pee Wee Herman, and then watching the movie, realize, oh my god, so many of these jokes are like similar to like jokes and just bits that are like similar to things Pee Wee Herman does. Like, not in the sense of like, oh man, clearly ripping them off, like it's the exact same joke, but it's like almost the same sense of humor, like the same joke styling, the same sense of like you're a character, there's a character in the world that they don't fit in, like they don't fit in with the rest of the world. Like this character is clearly the different, like where like everyone else in the universe is the straight man for your comic, but not to the point of like aggravating. Like how Pee Wee Herman's basically like giant man child, like has a super awesome house and all these crazy stuff and this awesome bike, and it's like when people meet him and they're not like instantly like, man, what is this guy? Like they don't try to change him. They don't try to like, they're not instantly against him. They just kind of like let it go, but they're not like, he's to the point like he's not annoying. He's just like, okay, yeah, that's just who he is as a person. And I kind of feel like that's kind of what Elvira is, but at the same time, it's like for regular people, it's kind of like, oh yeah, Elvira, you know, you're cool, blah blah, like just chill. They're like, oh man, like, but like in this town, it's like she's looked at just because of the way she's dressed, like because of the town's so conservative. All the women in town look at her like she's like a problem. Like we have to get her out. What's wrong with her? Like she's clearly amoral. You know, she has no morals. She's just a monster, and is like, no, like she's really not. Like she's honestly just like a normal person who just, you know, just happens to be herself, just like a little more free with the way she dresses. But also, a lot of the dudes in this movie are like kind of, like not even kind of, are like really over the top creeps, and it's like, what the fuck? Like not even like, oh yeah, back in the 80s you can get away with it. It's like, no, like it's not even like to that level. It's to the point of like she tells them off. Like she tells off multiple dudes. Like she tells off the station manager. She comes into town. There's like 3 or 4 dudes she has to shut down. She's in town. Like gets in town while her car's being fixed. Like she goes to a bowling alley, and there's these 2 dudes that try to hit on her, and like she shuts them down, and like they don't. Like she's just like, oh, you know, no, turns them down. Like they don't stop. So the point of like she gets up and is about to fucking fight them. Like she like pours their beers out on them, and like they try to fight her. It's like, what the fuck? So she gets up and she has like this knife, like this little dagger that she wears like on her dress. This like decorative clip basically. But like she gets up and takes it off, and she's like, I got you, man, and goes to stab the dude with it. And like she pokes him, and she starts screaming, ah, oh god, ah, she stabbed me, ah. She's like It's a fake knife. Just starts pushing the blade, like the blade's like spring loaded, pushes it down to fake knife. Fake knife, laughing at it. Dude goes from like screaming like he's dying to instantly mad, like the like grabs her. And it's like this guy who's like at the guy who owns the movie theater, I forgot his name. But he's at the, he happens to be at the bowling alley, and he walks up and just like starts fighting the dudes, like helps her. Like by fight, like knocking one of the dudes out, like they start beating these dudes up. But it's like, yeah, he comes in and saves the day. And it's just like, at the same time, like, most of the dudes in the movie are creeps. He's not. He's like one of the only like adult men in this movie that isn't a giant fucking creep. Like he's actually like a cool, normal dude. But it's like, yeah, like a lot of the dudes, it's so weird. Like so many dudes in the movie are creep. But it's like, it's also not even just like, oh yeah, 80s style creeps got away with it. It's like, they're there to show that Elvira, while she dresses a certain way, doesn't mean she's that way. And also, like, she can stand up for herself. Like, she can shut dudes down on her own. She didn't necessarily need the help. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, this guy is also there to be like, hey, not all guys are assholes, but also, she can also handle her own. Like, there's one point where like, she's trying to sell a house, her aunt's house. Like, it's super old, creepy, like, ran down, almost like Addams Family looking house. And it's just like super busted and broken. She's just like trying to sell it to get out of town as fast as possible because she can use A, she doesn't want to be there, and B, she needs the money to fund her Vegas show anyway. But yeah, she tries to sell the show, trying to sell the house, and like she's like, oh yeah, like talking to a real estate agent about her. He's like, oh yeah, blah blah, kind of like closing the blind, like trying to rest up the house, and essentially like he's trying to talk her into like closing up the house and getting her alone, and she's like legit thinking he's like, oh yeah, house. Then eventually like she catches on to what he's doing. She like fucking kicks his ass and throws him out the front door. And he's like, you'll never sell this house without me. He's like, dude, you weren't trying to sell the house in the first place. You were just being a creep. Like, it's not making like she's the asshole for shutting him down, which is like, seriously, what the fuck? Like, why do dudes think that's okay? Like, why is that okay? Like, in what world does that make sense? Like, she's trying to sell her house, so she should sleep with you so you can sell her house for her. But it's like, nah. That makes absolutely no sense. But yeah, honestly, like, luckily that's like a major part of the movie. That's never like a huge part of the plot. Like, it's never dwelled on too much. It's like, oh man, it's like one-off scenes. Like, she kicks some dude's ass. It's awesome, great moment. Then moves on. But it's like, yeah, there's like a lot of like creepy moments in this movie. And like, some of them are kind of played for comedic effect. Like, there's these teenage boys who are like obsessed with her and seen her, that helped her push her car to mechanics when she came into town. And like, they're obsessed with her. But like, they're kind of creepy. It goes from kind of creepy to like them just being genuinely helpful at one point. But like, there's like the first night she's in town, like they like sneak. It's raining outside. They sneak to her house and like try to climb up to her window and try to take a picture of her. Really fucking creepy. But it's also kind of like classic '80s, like those crazy scams. But it's also like, dude, kind of hard to watch this. But yeah, like once it gets past that, when they don't. That's like the last like super like wow thing they do. Like eventually they come by and actually help her fix up the house. Cause one of the kids' dad, his family owns the hardware store, so they get a bunch of like tools and paint and wood and stuff and help her fix up the house. And like as they're helping, like all these other boys from their school show up, which is funny. It's never like fully acknowledged that like they never say anything about it to Elvira. But basically, they're charging the other boys to come help. It's like, oh, yeah, you can come help, but yeah, throw some money for it. It's like essentially they're coming to help just to, like the peak on Elvira, but it's like eventually it turns into genuinely just working on the house. It's fucking like, I don't know. It seems like, well, basically the whole plot with the teenagers is like it's kind of half-assed because they were never like, well, in the original script they weren't. I don't think they were in the original script at all, or they just weren't. They were just background characters. But eventually, like, the studio, like, wanted to add them to make them in a more prominent role to try to get a younger audience to come see the movie. Because originally it was more about the people in the town. Like, the townsfolk had actually bigger roles. Some of the roles got cut back just to get the teenagers in there so they could aim for a younger audience. Like, and not just, like, darkly aim, but, like, get a younger audience to try to get a younger audience to want to see this movie because of, like, they wouldn't be honestly. It wasn't a bad movie, but like it had a budget of like $7.5 million, and it made $5.5 back in the box office. So it lost $2 million, but like I don't know, like it didn't kill the character, it never killed him. Like this character, Elvira, is still like a big deal today, you know. Well, she's still like a known character. She still does events. She still does live shows and stuff. She still does like appearances at conventions and things. So it didn't like ruin the reputation of the character, but at the same time, yeah, this movie didn't do the best. And honestly, I mean, I can kind of see it. Like, 88, I don't know. Watching it now is like it's not the funniest movie ever. Like, you know, it's watchable, it's good. It's not like it's not complete trash. It's not a dumpster fire. You know, it's like it's not like I don't have any honestly have any real complaints about it. It's like maybe it moves kind of slow, but at the same time, it's like I mean, it's like it's weird. It is like kind of gets to like the main point of the plot towards the end of the movie. The whole reveal of like her uncle being like evil warlock or whatever, and her actually having her coming from a family of witches and actually having powers, having like dark magic powers. But at the same time, it doesn't really dwell on that. It doesn't go on that too far. But yeah, like it's mostly played up as a comedy because that's who the character of Elvira is. She's a comedic character. Like she's not like it's like it was so Cassandra Peterson, lady who plays Elvira, actually wrote the movie, and then the character of Elvira was created by her. Like it's her original character, which started off as like it was just this comedic Valley Girl character that they added like horror elements to. And she's like, oh yeah, she added like took that character, added horror elements to her, and then that's how she got the show Elvira's, the movie show, and then that's what led to this film, like that. The popularity of the character in that show, the popularity of that show eventually led to this film. But basically, like I think it's just really badass that like she made like it's her original character and she wrote the movie. Like it wasn't just like oh yeah somebody like just threw her in this dress. All right here like it just took someone out the streets. Like oh yeah like wasn't some like I don't know wasn't just, like the whole thing was like the character is her design. It wasn't just some dude like being a creeper and shit. Like the outfit like it's like oh yeah like. It was actually made like it was her idea to be in that outfit, which makes this like really awesome. It's actually really kind of badass and like really dope. But yeah, honestly, I don't think Elvira ever really gets like the credit she deserves. I mean, like she kind of has a cult following and like oh yeah, kind of known for like the dark art, you know, kind of like the horror movie crowd or like kind of the comedy crowd, but not really that big a role in the comedy crowd. But like I don't know. I just feel like Elvira as a character should be like way more popular than she is. Like way more dope. Like she's like honestly really badass and like just awesome, and not necessarily just like some one note character. Like she's almost played up as that, but like is really way more awesome than that. I guess is what I'm getting at. Like really should be way more celebrated than she is. She honestly kind of reminds me a lot of another character. It's a character from a video game series Borderlands called Mad Moxie. It was like a bartender, and like every game she like pretty much owns a bar, and like she's also like a mechanic who can like build cars and fix cars and like builds her own weapons and stuff, and really dope. And like it's weird because like she's kind of like overly sexualized, but like by choice. It's not like oh yeah like. She fucking does it to herself. Like, she uses it like it's weird. Like, she basically, one game she comes on and says, like, yeah, you know, I kind of make the double entendres as, like, a coping. I use those as a coping mechanism. Because, like, she just, like, lives on this terrible planet, like, war-torn, just insane, like, monster planet where she's done, like, seen horrible things. She makes jokes to, like, to lighten it and kind of, like, ignore those moves, kind of move on, kind of repress the darkness of it. But also, at the same time, it's, like, Moxie is, like, super respected by everyone. Like, she's like but she's also a super badass character. Like she's not afraid to like, you know, pull out a gun and start blasting. Like she can hold her own. But it's also like, it's one of those things where like she's super respected by other characters. And anyone that doesn't like gets dealt with. Like pretty much anytime anyone like directly disrespects her, it's a villain. They're seeing that they're a villain of the series. It's never like one of the main characters. And yeah, I think that's really awesome. And I'm horribly off topic again. But I mean, if you listen to any of these episodes, which hopefully you listen to all of them, man. I'm really hoping you listen to all of them. Hope you like them. Hopefully that's why you stick around. But yeah, you know, I usually get off topic, but I can bring it back. I'll get back to the point at some point. By some point, I mean right now. I'm gonna get back to get back to it. But yeah, Elvira, like the main, like I guess wouldn't be the main antagonist in the movie. It'd be the secondary antagonist. Is what's her name? Chastity Perfer, the head of the Moral Council, Chastity Perfer, which is like, okay, no, the name's a little on the nose, but I get it, it's funny. She's essentially like, her whole issue with Elvira is the way she looks, is the fact of like, she's not like super covered up and like not, you know, not being seen. Even it was like, her whole thing, the whole like Moral Council thing is trying to run her out of town. Not realizing she doesn't want to be in the fucking town. She wants to sell the house and leave. Like, she never really wants to be in the town. She's just there because of like her reading her aunt's will. And I was like, oh man, I'm stuck with this house I need to get rid of. But it's like, At no point does anyone or any of the council like, okay, we'll help you sell the house to get out of town. Like they're just like, we gotta run her out. It's always constantly trying to run her out of town. And then eventually, like at one point, her uncle, like she finds out her uncle's evil, found out he's a warlock, and like realizes what's going on. He fucking convinces the town folk that she's a witch, and then tells them like, looks into the town laws, in which point finds out that burning witches at the stake is still legal in that town. Like practicing witchcraft is illegal, and it's still legal to burn witches at the stake. So they arrest her and they're gonna burn her at the stake as a witch. But my question of like, in a town that's like super conservative, super against like, oh, women like being dressing too revealingly, you're okay with burning people in the center of town? Like you're okay with burning a woman at the stake in the center of town? That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly okay. That's definitely dope. That's cool. But her showing like too much cleavage is a problem. What the fuck is that? But honestly, like that's kind of like that's pretty much America. Like where like it's weird. Not gonna go too deep into this. Not gonna get too political about it. But like where it's the weird balance of like America's like okay with violence, but like we like shame like sexuality in a way. But it's like funny if people talk. It's like, oh yeah, Europe's so much more free. But it's like Europe's the exact opposite. Where it's like, yeah, they're free, they're cool, they're open with sexuality and things, but they absolutely hate violence. Like they shun violence like crazy. Like there's certain things that like there's like video games in America that can get released in America that you get away with that can't be released in Europe because they're too violent. Like it's like, oh yeah, but Europe, no, blah blah. Like Europe, you're okay. Like in the UK, like you can't show like headbutting is like a serious problem in the UK. So like there's movie scenes like, oh, there's a scene where this movie has a headbutt in it that's like edited out of that movie for the European release. Where like in the American release, it'll be like something stupid, something else like edited out. Like there's this one video game, I forgot the name of it, but like essentially there's like, oh, the problem like this game will never get released. Like it got like higher than an M rating because the claim was like there's too much nudity in the game. So the counteract is like a dead body or some shit in the game. That was like those nudens, like that was the issue. So the counteract they just took that same character, same model, and just covered it in blood, and like it can get released in America. So it's like violence okay, nudity not okay. But like I just feel like that scene in that movie, the scene like where they're going to burn her, I think is the perfect metaphor for that. It's like they're gonna burn her alive in front of everyone in the center of town because they don't like how she's dressed. Because she dresses too revealingly, we're going to burn you alive. Like, well, okay, it is not that simple. I mean, that's overly simple. That's overly simplifying it. The real reason was the witchcraft, but at the same time, their initial problem with her was because of how she dressed, which makes no fucking sense, dude. It's so stupid. It makes absolutely no sense. It's like, oh yeah, no, yep. What's that? No. Violence is okay, which is still stupid. Like, but yeah, dude. It's like there's one part where she gets tarred and feathered because she eventually convinces the owner of the movie theater to do a midnight screening of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and like all the teenagers in town show up to support it. You know, like, oh man, everybody wants the movie to come out and support her, and she does her whole thing. Like, there's her TV show bit where she's like on a couch on the stage next to the screen doing commentary through the movie, and it's pretty funny. And like she gets this big finale set up where we're supposed to dump a bucket of glitter on her. She goes to pull the rope, and someone replaced the glitter with tar and just dumped feathers on her. So they tarred and feathered her just because. Like, and once again, what? You know, no one at no point does anyone in the town that's against her. Like, no one on the moral council on the council ever try to just talk to her and see what's up. They just instantly go in, all right, attack. They instantly go into attack mode. It's like, all right, she's a problem. She needs to go. Like, we gotta get her out of here. What do we do? It was like a really stupid way to handle it, and eventually accomplishes nothing. But at the end of the day, like when she stopped, eventually at the end of the day, like she ends up winning the whole town over. They learn to realize, okay, man, Lee can relax a little bit, can loosen up some. And like she ends up beating her uncle in this giant magic battle. Actually, not that magic battle. Yeah, it's like the house burns down, which is kind of kind of sad. It's kind of depressing. Like the house everyone helped rebuild and put all his work into burns down, but like ends up taking out her uncle. And since she's his only living relative, she gets his estate, which ends up being enough for money for her to cover her Vegas show. So she ends up leaving town, puts on her Vegas show, and the movie like ends with the Vegas her performance in Vegas is pretty awesome, which clearly she's one of the writers. It was actually comes back to the real life thing that Cassandra, before doing comedy, she was originally a Vegas showgirl. She started off like her first job was a go-go dancer, then eventually she became a showgirl in Las Vegas. So she actually like has done like shows in Vegas before. So that scene, pretty sure she wrote that scene in because of that. But also, I guess the fun fact about that is like during the shooting of that scene, she actually had the flu, was like super sick, and then like somehow managed to pull off shooting the scene. And it still looks awesome. It's still dope. There's one part where it's like classic cheesy '80s movie thing where like she starts rapping and it's like it's kind of cringy but kind of funny. It's kind of dope, but at the same time it's like, oh my god, what was with people in the '80s? Like, why did everyone try to rap? And it was like never like good, actual good rap. It was just like super basic. Yo, my name is blank, and I'm here to say, and it's just something that rhymes with their name, and it's just like, why? Just why? It's like, man, who rap like that? I mean, like, okay, yeah, there were some people that rap like that in the '80s, but sometimes like '80s, man, you had Beastie Boys, dude. Why? Just why? Why? Oh, why? Shout out to Prozac, the rapper. You know, that's a dope song from him. But yeah, man, just a lot of wacky humor in this. There's one part where like she thinks back, she gets the spell book. She thinks it's a cookbook. It's like, oh yeah, a recipe book. She tries to make a recipe out of it, and like it just turns out like summons like demon like dragon snake monster thing. And she made like she was making dinner, and she opens the pot and it pops out, and she like fights it and like shoves it down the garbage disposal. It's pretty funny. It's pretty like I don't know, like it's at the end of the day, like it's a comedy, but it's also a horror movie spoof almost. Like it makes fun of a lot of horror movie plots, and it's honestly pretty funny. Like I recommend checking it out if you got the time. It's on Hulu. It's not that long. It's like hour and a half, maybe hour 45 minutes. Not that long of a movie. It's pretty dope. Definitely worth checking out. You know, you get a couple laughs out of it. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. You know, that's my time, and that's my cue to exit. But no, once again, I want to thank you guys for checking this out. Feel free to leave a comment, tell me what you thought. You know, leave a suggestion for the next episode, suggestion for an intro. I mean, tell me what you think about me, what you thought about the episode, what you think about the movie if you check it out, you know. But as always, thanks for checking it out. And I ain't shit, you ain't shit, but we all love sex. See you.